My name is Olivia, and today I'd like to share with you some insight into the world of mental illness, and more specifically, the stigmatization of mental illness. Before we start, here's a basic outline of mental illness and its prevalence in society. Mental illness can be described as changes in thoughts, behaviors, emotions, and or actions that can be negative, excessive, and damaging to oneself and those around them. They are often believed to be caused by chemical imbalances in the brain, trauma, genetics, and more. Without proper treatment, mental illnesses can make it incredibly difficult to function in day-to-day life. Normal activities such as going to school, taking showers, brushing your teeth, holding a job, maintaining healthy relationships, and eating balanced meals can all become incredibly difficult and even feel impossible. Some examples of mental illnesses include generalized anxiety disorder, social anxiety disorder, anorexia, bulimia, binge eating disorder, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, depression, and more. According to research conducted in 2019 by the National Institute of Mental Health, nearly 1 in 5 adults residing in the U.S. live with some form of mental illness, ranging from mild to severe. That means that mental illness can affect anyone regardless of race, gender, socioeconomic levels, etc. Even celebrities such as Robin Williams, Jim Carrey, Demi Lovato, Kanye West, and Selena Gomez have struggled with mental illness. It's nothing to feel ashamed about or alone in. It should also be noted that there is no one face to mental illness. For example, those suffering from an eating disorder are not always severely underweight, and those suffering with depression do not always appear sad, hopeless, or disheveled. In all reality, those suffering from mental illnesses frequently appear as normal people, and this is because, well, they are normal people. There's this notion that having a mental illness makes you different or less than those who don't, but this certainly isn't the case. Speaking on the notion of mental illness making you different or less than or even crazy is the perfect segue into the issue of the stigmatization of mental illness in our society. The idea that the term mental illness is stigmatized is not unheard of. According to a study conducted by the American Psychological Association in 2019, 86% of those interviewed believe that this term does in fact carry stigma. Even more unsettling, 13% of those interviewed believe that mental illness is something people should feel ashamed of. 13% may not seem like a lot, but having your mental illness downplayed and portrayed as you being weak or crazy, especially by those you love, can be life-threatening. Stigma surrounding mental illness can even make those suffering from it refuse help or even refuse to admit to having such a problem, either because they feel it makes them weak or because mental illness isn't real and is all in your head. Countless people write off these sometimes debilitating conditions as someone just being dramatic or lazy. It's the same mindset that tells those with eating disorders to just eat more. If mental illness was this simple to fix, it simply wouldn't exist. We've all heard the phrase, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me." And how many more times will we fall for it? Here's a situation. Imagine you have diabetes. Would you buy insulin to treat it? Of course, because you'll die without it. Now imagine you have a broken bone. Would you go to the hospital to get a cast? Of course you would, or else you could make the injury worse. People will even help you out around the office, grab an extra donut for you in the morning, show extra care towards you, and will even understand if you decide to take some time off of work. Now, why is it that so many people don't give mental illness the same treatment? Why are so many pushed into hiding their mental illness or making excuses as to why they can't come into work? Why is it that we discount the importance of providing medicine, therapy, and reservation of judgment when someone needs to take time off of work due to mental health struggles? Surely mental illness can be just as, if not more, debilitating as physical injuries, right? Well, the answer is of course it can be. Just because the injury isn't physically visible through, say, crutches or a cast doesn't mean it's not there. Sometimes when you deal with mental illness, it can be discouraging to constantly hear that you're making up your mental illness for attention or are being overdramatic, especially if you're still struggling to accept it yourself and don't know how to seek help. It can make you rethink your emotions and actions and push them aside instead of getting proper treatment, which will end up hurting both yourself and those around you. Carelessly throwing around phrases like, oh my god, I'm so OCD, or I'm so bipolar today, when you're really just being a bit of a perfectionist or feeling moody, also can contribute to the minimization of mental illness, so it's important to be aware of what you're saying. These phrases work to normalize these issues in the sense that it doesn't highlight the necessity of seeking help. If we replace the word bipolar with moody, then whenever we hear of someone actually having bipolar disorder, we'll have a skewed stereotype made up for them of being moody and rude, which, again, can be extremely harmful. If you know someone who thinks they may be struggling with mental illness or even just poor mental health, it's always important to encourage them to seek help and support them in the big and little ways. Just letting someone know you care about them and are there to back them up no matter what can be their reason to keep fighting. Carrying on with the stigmatization of mental illness and being aware of its prevalence in society, we can't deny Hollywood's notorious pattern of depicting mental illness in an offensive manner. Characters with mental illnesses are often portrayed by erratic movements and behaviors, homicidal actions, and pure horror, as seen through the depiction of DID, also known as dissociative identity disorder, through Norman Bates in the classic horror film Psycho. Even the title of the movie carries a negative connotation of mental illness. DID, previously known as multiple personality disorder, is often depicted in an offensive and dangerous fashion. Movies like Split take individuals suffering from DID and turns them into deranged, kidnapping lunatics. These different personalities associated with DID are actually defense mechanisms put in place as a result of childhood trauma that makes the host of the body feel protected and safe and able to deal with certain situations. As a result, it is feared by those who have it that once they explain their condition, they will be shunned in fear that they too are dangerous to be around. This is simply not true. In fact, a vast majority of those suffering from mental illness are not dangerous to be around and do not carry homicidal tendencies with them. Most people with mental illness are just everyday people and are not defined by their issues. It takes one Google search to figure that one out. Just be sure to let anyone you know who's struggling that it's okay not to be okay. Not every day is perfect, and not every week is perfect. Taking each day one step at a time is sometimes the best thing you can do, and that's all right. It's just always important to make sure to reach out to a trusted friend or adult to support you through any struggles. Bottling in emotions is just a volcano waiting to erupt. In the end, it's all about what makes you happy. PSA, fun things to do if you're struggling with poor mental health. And remember, baby steps, even the smallest things can make you feel slightly better, such as brushing your teeth, brushing your hair, taking a shower, cleaning your room, painting your nails, folding your laundry, making a nice snack, going for a walk, hanging out with friends, watching your favorite show, picking up a new hobby, or petting your dog. Some days may feel worse than others, but it's important to remember that these days will pass. Sometimes you just need to stop and smell the roses and take your good moments in stride. Here are some resources to get you started on your journey.